Hello everyone, welcome to A Taboo Life, where everyone has a story to tell. My name is Drew Franks, or you could just call me Frank for short, and I want to thank you for listening to the first episode of this podcast. The format, just to give you guys a heads up, is unedited and non-episodic, so you could listen to these episodes in any order you like, and it's going to be unedited, so we're going to have taboo subjects, obviously from the title. We're going to have swear words, and if you're ultra-conservative or ultra social justice warrior, then don't listen to this podcast. Sorry about that. This has to be the 150th time I've recorded this introduction, and I keep mumbling and stumbling over my words, so I'm hoping this is the last recording of this. So, I digress. Go back. The format is going to be the interview itself. I talk to a random person who has an interesting story to tell. Talk about their story, talk about their life. Then at the last quarter of the interview, I asked them a set of interpersonal questions that was created by the psychologist Dr. Arthur Aaron. And these questions are supposed to help us reveal a deeper part to ourselves. And the reason why I ask these questions is because I just want to show the world that we all have something to share with another person. That we all have desires and pains that we can all relate to. So, let's get this podcast started. My first guest is Rebecca Swam. She has fought lupus for a good part of her life. So this is a really very serious podcast. Well, this episode is. We talk about her dealing with the disease, what the disease is, and what gets her going through the day, what gives her strength. I don't want to ruin the episode, so I'll let you listen to her yourself. And thanks for listening. And here goes Rebecca Swan with her story. Alright, now we're recording. Well, Rebecca, purpose of this podcast is because I believe everyone has a story to tell. And I wanted to start getting people to start telling me their story and one day broadcast this out. And the format for this is going to be like similar to how the Joe Rogan Experience is. I'm not sure if you ever listened to that podcast. Well, so it's going to be a free-flowing podcast, so from start to finish, it's not going to be edited. So if the interview goes for 30 minutes, then it goes for 30 minutes. If it goes for 3 hours, then it goes for 3 hours.
Okay.
And it's not going to be, like I said, it's not going to be edited. You're not going to be, not going to cut and paste questions and answers.
Make me sound like a schmuck.
No. No, but,
okay.
Yeah, that's the purpose of the podcast. I'm glad that you're my first one. I'm interested in hearing what you have to say, what your life story is, and towards the end of the podcast, I'm going to ask you some questions. They're going to be very personal questions. And if you don't feel like answering them, that's fine. You don't have to answer them. But it's more about empathy, and sincerity, kind of see the deeper side of you.
Okay.
Okay. So, let's get started. First, tell everyone your name.
Rebecca.
Rebecca?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's up, Rebecca?
I just came from Mayo Clinic.
Yeah, what was up with that?
I go there every 4 weeks for my chemo.
Mm-hmm.
Go there every month for lab. Well, excuse me. So every 4 weeks for chemo, and then every month, every 30 days for labs. And then I have to go to ophthalmology because of the rheumatologist that has me on the chemo also has me on other oral medication that makes me that is making me go blind. But I'm still alive. It also causes well, vomiting, yes, but more like upper GI pyrotechnics vomiting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's fun. But I have a lot of health issues.
Yeah.
And so I see a lot of doctors at Mayo, and I see a lot of doctors at St. Vincent's, and I see a lot of, I always refer to Orange Park Medical Center as hell. I will never.
Yeah, I had a friend who went to the hospital and they had to get him out of there. Like, no, we're taking him somewhere else.
Yeah, it's insane there. I told the last lady, I said, the only way they're getting me that I ever come back into this hospital is bound, gagged, blindfolded, unconscious, and at gunpoint strapped to a backboard.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did they do? Like, was it just the service, or?
Let's just say I was unjustifiably accused without merit, without words. Because of the disease that I have, it causes chronic pain.
Yeah.
And even though that I don't see a doctor who specializes in pain management.
Yeah.
Even though I give you all my paperwork, even though I give you all the lists of my doctors, even though like it has no merit. And when a doctor questions me a certain way, and my brain started going, he thinks you're a junkie.
Yeah.
And then I got a call from one of their, I don't know, not survey people, but some
guest relations thing.
Yeah, but it was like a subset of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me some and I was just like, you know what? So I basically told them to. Am I allowed to say?
Yeah, well, say what you want.
So I basically told her to fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
But I said it so eloquently, I left her puzzled and really thinking, wait, did she just tell me to fuck off? Because there was a long pause, and she was like, well, and I mean her, and I'm just like, have a nice day. Click. Yeah. So that was like the last. But I won't ever go back there. Ever. And if I do wind up back there, I'll be like, when I come to, I'd be like, send my ass to St. Vincent's somewhere else.
Pay the extra bill for the ambulance. Let's go.
So, but yeah.
Well, can you tell me what disease you have?
I have. You want the full name?
Yeah, and,
okay.
And go ahead and explain what it is.
I have systemic lupus erythematosus, which in a shortened version is I have lupus. Mm-hmm. Some people have like mild case. Some people have severe cases. Some people have discoid lupus, which only affects like their skin. Leave it to me to, as one PA that I know personally called me a medical nightmare, because I have all these. To get diagnosed as lupus, you have to, it's not like a boom, you have lupus. There is no one test. It's, you have to meet.
Like a battery test?
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like that, this wide, however many tubes you can fit.
Oh.
Yeah. And you have to meet, I think think it's like 7 out of 10 or 5 out of 7. You have to meet so many symptoms, including like 2 or 3, I think it's 2 blood markers to be like, oh, yep, you got lupus. And those blood markers, if they actually become normal and stay normal, then you go into remission. So it's an autoimmune illness. Basically, it's my body's immune system thinks of me as a foreign body, so it attacks me instead of it attacking like a cold virus, or it attacks me.
So that's autoimmune?
Autoimmune.
Yeah.
It's the same class where multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, that golfer that has does the commercials for some kind of arthritis. I can't think of who he is. He saw it on the television or looked it up or whatever, but it's a golfer who does this commercial for like a drug company for a certain type of arthritis. That's an autoimmune illness. But with having lupus, especially my severe case, I actually have symptoms that overlap into other autoimmune, like I have symptoms of MS. So like my right hand on most days works.
Yeah.
Some days I can't even sign my name. I'll be like, I'll start with the R and it'll just go off in one direction. And my right leg likes to go numb. And I've had the nerve conduction tests and stuff like that, and then I have symptoms of I can't pronounce it, but basically it's dry eyes and lack of saliva, and it's like SJORGENS. So I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah. So, and with that, so I have like really, really dry eyes.
Yeah.
I don't produce tears unless I'm like really, really upset.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't produce saliva, which in itself causes. Yeah, it's like the only time I produce saliva is when I'm like sucking on something or whatever. And that has its own problems, because without saliva you have more tooth decay, and yeah, so I think I've had a total of 5, 6, 7, 8 teeth pulled. And I think I was told by my dentist this last time that probably 3 more are probably going to have to come out. And I might be looking at a full set of dentures here.
Oh. Yeah,
and I already paid $2,800 for this. For just this partial one. So, but yeah, it's a builds character, I guess.
Yeah, builds a lot of character.
Builds a lot of character. There's worse things.
When did all this start?
I started becoming believe it or not, I am no, what's the word? I had a little bit of a questionable past.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing illegal or anything like that, but I was the quiet one that you would never expect. And I got pregnant in high school, my senior year, and I went in for routine, battery of blood tests that they do. Yeah. And they said that my platelet count, which is something, platelets are in your blood, it causes your blood to clot. Mm-hmm. And my platelet count was low for being pregnant. And I was 17. I was like, okay. And, well, we just need to keep an eye on it. All right. I had no clue. And then probably about 3-4 months after I had my son, my hair started to fall out. Which, back in those days, I mean, it was like the higher the hair, closer to God.
Yeah.
And so you really couldn't notice it at first. And besides, I had dark brown, thick, curly, naturally curly hair. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought it was like hormones, just having a baby,
mm-hmm.
you know, all that other
stress.
stuff. Yeah. Everything, you know, normal childbirth, everything was great. Got married, had my second baby, and they're like, your platelets are low. Oh, now your glucose is kind of getting a little, you know. Okay. So again, I had to be kept an eye on, and I'm just like, this is weird, you know. And all this time my hair was continuing to fall out, and I had gone, we had moved up to Maryland to Pax River, mm-hmm. and I went to Bethesda to find out what was going on. I mean, Bethesda, come on. Find out what was going on. They couldn't figure it out. Like, that's why government pays y'all the big bucks. All right. So, while we were living in Maryland, I used to be an EMT. And so, I was on a call in March of 99, which was about 3 months before we PCS'd back.
Yeah.
And I blew my knee big time. Ooh. And it roughed up, as the surgeon said, it roughed up the vessels in my knee. Mm-hmm. Not only did I tear my PCL, my MML, and partially tore my ACL, and by the way, I was told by the radiologist it takes talent to tear a PCL, mm-hmm. let alone an ACL. But I was like, I do my best. But I started, when we came back down here, I started getting pain in my knee, and mm-hmm. it was outside of the realm of, hey, you blew your knee back in March, and this is now 6 months later, and I was trying to figure out why I have a lot of pain in my knee. And went to the naval base. Yeah. You know, that genius, you know, was thinking that I wanted to have my husband shipped home for knee surgery. And I'm like, dude, no, there's something wrong. And he kept tabling it and tabling it and tabling it. And then come December, something was wrong, and my artery in my knee totally occluded. Like, I had no pulse in my foot. And so got to ring in Y2K, mm-hmm. or excuse me, Y2K, in the hospital, waiting for surgery. Mm-hmm. Had this massive blood clot sucked out of my artery in my knee, hence the multi-scars.
Okay. Yeah, I can see the scars.
So I had that one sucked out. No problems. Got discharged. Went back home. Everything was A-okay. Here comes March. My husband's about to come home. And clotted again. Even being on blood thinners. And they were like, what the hell? Yeah. And so, clotted again, back to the OR, sucked it out. I was on the recovery table, totally occluded again. So now we're at 1, 2, 3. And the second one happened right, or the third one happened right after they removed the second one. So
it's a nightmare.
Back into the OR I went, and they sucked that one out. And then I was discharged Saturday, same day my husband got home. Got discharged, went to, Chinese, considering I'd been eating hospital food. Went to my favorite restaurant with his family and everything. Ate. And then I noticed, God, my leg, really hurts. Something's wrong. So we called my surgeon. Mm-hmm. And my husband's on the phone going, okay. And he's like, car, now. And I live by, where Kingsley, where Orange Park High School is? Okay. I live over in that area. He floored it to St. Vincent's Riverside at 11:30 at night. And then I got there at, believe it or not, 11:45. And then after they checked me in, I had 15 minutes to wrestle with the knowledge that when I woke up, that I would wake up without a leg. And my surgeon, he then was like, all right, she's 25. We need to find out what's going on. And that's when he found all these different markers that I wasn't tested for.
Yeah.
And they were like, I'm a big clotter, so I'm on blood thinners, but I'm also a big bleeder. So I could either stroke or spontaneously combust, depending on the time of day.
Ooh, medication too.
Yeah. So that's when my surgeon, then he sent my blood to UCLA. Mm-hmm. He sent it to Rochester, Mayo, and then he sent it to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. That's how he found out all this stuff. And then 6 weeks later, I was diagnosed with lupus. And I was just like...
Was it like a...
I just was just... You saved my leg, and now you have me living in fear.
Well, was it kind of like a relief, knowing where it was at this point?
Yeah, kind of.
What you are fighting now?
Well, yeah. It was like the PCM doctor I had at the time, he was like, now we know what monster we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, but realize that my 3rd grade teacher died of this disease. And as an 8-year-old, that, makes a big impression on your brain. And so this, I know, is a deadly disease. And it is. I've had 3 near misses, and so it was, it was I don't know whether to be glad that I found it.
Yeah. It's kind of like...
It's a catch-22. It's like, there are some days where I can say, I'm glad I found out. And then there are some days going, God, I wish I hadn't found out.
Kind of like bear living ignorance.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, I knew I was going to go through hell, but I didn't know to the extent of how much hell I was going to go through. So it was like, I already knew that I was going to go through hell, but I didn't know I was going to go through this much hell. And, shoot, I even put it on, Tug Tuesday on the page of me in the chemo room, and yeah.
Yeah. And just for people who don't know, she's talking about the Chive website for Jacksonville, right?
Yeah, First Coast Chive.
Yeah, First Coast Chive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had, I have a little, it's got a Band-Aid on there.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little, I call it a Mickey, but it's called a port.
Yeah.
And it goes right into
your lungs.
It goes into the subclavian, which is it's a vein that goes directly to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same vein they put a central line in, but it's not as close as a central line would be. Because my record for them finding a vein on me is 37 sticks.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's going in the neck and in the feet and in the groin, in the arms, in the chest area. You name it, where there was a vein, they tried it. Wow. Yeah. So they finally gave me a port at that point.
And so people don't know, she has a little scar on right side of her chest.
You can actually feel, it's like a knot. And it's just a rubber thing they put up underneath it's on top of the muscle tissue. Oh, sorry. It's on top of the muscle tissue, but below the skin, and the catheter goes down into the vein.
Oh, okay. So it's basically for easy access, basically.
Yeah. They just have to use a big, huge needle to punch you in the chest. And
do they use that just for normal blood draws? Or?
Blood draws, meds, infusions. Anytime I have to have any type of IV access, that's where it goes.
How old are you?
I'm 42.
Wow. And you found this out when you were basically 25, right?
I was formally diagnosed at 25. Yeah. I mean, in retrospect, my surgeon kind of gave my boys their mom, because I found out, because of these different factors, if I were to get pregnant again, it would have been detrimental to me.
Wow.
Or to the baby, or to both of us. And I was like, and we're devout Catholics, so I was like, I have to talk to my husband about this one.
Yeah.
And we got a special dispensation. They're like, their boys need a mama.
What's a dispensation?
Basically, it's permission. Not saying we were asking for permission. It's basically them saying, you know what? Those babies need a mama because their daddy goes out to sea.
Yeah.
And, they need a mama.
Mm-hmm.
So that's okay. We'll give you a pass on that.
Oh, so is this from the church or from the hospital?
From our priest, our parish priest. So I was like, okay.
So, wait, I'm still kind of confused with it. Because I was raised Catholic, but I don't know what dispensation means.
It's kind of like you have to, back in olden times, to marry a non-Catholic, you had to get permission from the Pope or the Bishop to be able to marry them.
From the church.
And the caveat would be, as long as the children are raised Catholic. That was what my parents, because my mom was marrying a non-Catholic, and that was their caveat, was as long as the children were raised Catholic. And our priest, it was just, as long as everything is still,
kosher.
Yeah. And there are reasons behind, there are certain cases that it's understandable and whatnot. Now, with all the new technology we have now, it's like, I wish I would have been diagnosed now.
Yeah.
Because I would have had so many more options now than before. So
what kind of options?
I have no idea. just the technology in itself. There's so much research out right now. I mean, like, what was it? Back when I was newly diagnosed, they were just starting research into the Russell viper, and how it can, how it affects, like, the blood of lupus patients. And what they found is another test. They were able to design a test using the venom of the Russell viper, which is found in Australia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, something's going to kill you might save you.
I have no idea. But yeah, so they
No,
the little things.
Extract it.
Thank you. Words are escaping me. I think it's probably because I just had my chemo infusion, so words kind of escape me right now. But yeah, they extract the venom of a Russell viper, and I don't know, put it through a centrifuge, or I don't know what they do. Shoot shark piss in it. I'm not sure. But there's some kind of test that is designed, and I mean, they're doing tests with alligators, since alligators can live in
extreme conditions,
extreme bacteriological conditions and virological conditions, and they are so immune to it that alligators are also being tested.
Yeah, I read something the other day that alligators are, like, their blood is highly antibiotic, what you were talking about.
Yeah. And one day it's going to be... They'll probably figure out a vaccine or something after I, pass on.
Yeah, it's kind of like, when I had my friend in the hospital, I was talking to his father, and we're talking about how on the technology we have today, it's probably in 50 years is going to be looked back on and think like how
archaic.
Yeah, archaic and medieval. It's like, man, I can't believe they did this 50 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And right now, this is high tech. This is like the best stuff we got. Continuously new research is coming out.
Oh, hey, look at just I cannot remember who did the actual research on it, but just the washing of hands.
Oh yeah, that was actually an interesting story. He didn't even know what germs were. He didn't know it was germs. He thought it was, I think he called them Phoebans or something like that.
Yeah, something.
It was some dead bodies. But
I think it might have been. He either was thinking it was dead skin cells.
Yeah. Well, he knew.
Or if it was from the dead bodies.
Yeah, he knew it was from the dead bodies. Basically, the story is this. He was a I believe he was I don't want to say
pathologist.
Not pathologist. Like, he did deliver babies.
OBGYN.
Yeah, back in the day. This is like what I believe in the 1800s.
So he'd be
he
would be a doctor.
Like, yeah, he's a doctor basically.
They didn't have specialized doctors back then.
Yeah, back in the 1800s, I believe. On the story was that he knows that there's a lot of deaths, and especially when women were giving birth, and he didn't really understand why until he started noticing there was doctors before they would go into surgery for the mother giving birth. They would practice on cadavers, corpses. Because it's back in it, that's how they got their practice done. So they'll
that's true.
Go to the morgue and practice on dead bodies, and because at the time they didn't know what germs were. So I forgot the name he gave them, but he called them I think it was like deaf organisms or something like that, something small that we can't see, but it's there. And the only reason why he told doctors at this point to use chlorine, basically chlorine is the one that is antiseptic, because it smelled clean. He didn't know that was actually killing the germs. He just knew it smelled clean, and then he knows there was a relationship with more women surviving the births after the doctors wash their hands in the chlorine.
And to this day, even with this,
Yeah.
they use chlorhexidine, which has
chlorine
in it.
And he didn't know, like,
before they access my port, they use chlorhexidine and betadine sometimes in combo to keep it sterile, because they have to put sterile gloves on and everything when they access it, since it goes directly to my heart.
Yeah, oof, that's again unexpected. Well,
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't work because, I mean, my schedule's so jam-packed with, like, tomorrow I see hematology and gastro and GI, and then next week I go to neurology, and then, I mean, and then I have, my visual field test on my eyes to see how more blind I'm becoming, because one of the meds that I take orally causes blindness, and I knew it going in when I started it.
Is that going to be permanent, or that was...
Yeah.
How
I've been on it since 2000.
How well can you see now?
I can see far away better than I can up close. If you like, I'm looking like there's no way I can make out the writing on that on the water bottle.
All right, so yes, he's just basically holding a water bottle like arm's length away, and she can't read a label on it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the made for Florida and its neighbors, but I can't read the back where the EPC code is without my glasses on. I call them my go-go gadget eyes. I mean, because they see near and they see far. So I have to wear them at night when I drive, and then I have prescription sunglasses that I wear during the day. So
well, at least it's good, but it's still. I mean, it's not good, but like at least it's correctable.
For now,
It's
for now. It's just the progression, because the med. It's kind of funny. It's actually in the class. It's an anti-malarial drug.
Oh, so for something against malaria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an anti-malaria drug, which I'm still trying to figure that one out. Yeah, it's an anti-malarial drug, and it's called Plaquenil, and it causes macular degeneration. And macular degeneration is blindness. And when they went to, I was like, "Oh, goody. This causes blindness." And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Macular degeneration." Even the pharmacist, Skippy the Wonder Boy behind the desk, I had more medical training than he did if I knew what macular degeneration mean. And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Macular degeneration, that's blindness. Macula, it's in your eye. Degeneration means it deteriorates." And he was like, "Oh, damn. Do you want a different medication?" I'm like, "No, I kind of have to have this to..."
Oh, my God. The doctors are clueless like that.
No, this was a pharmacy tech.
Oh, the pharmacy test. Okay. The doctor's like,
No, if it was a doc, I'd be like,
"There's another one?"
I'm going to go to the other doctor in the box over there, But no, the pharmacy tech was just like, you still want it? I'm like, I have to take it. And then I have friends of mine that were like, "Yeah, but you'd go blind." And I'm like, "Well, I'd rather go blind than deaf." And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because I'd lose my music." Yeah, I am so musically and sound, to my ears, that if I had to choose between the two, I would choose to go blind and not deaf.
Wow.
I would much rather hear the laughter. I don't have to see the smile. I can envision the smiles. but I would rather hear the laughter and the giggles and stuff. But I'm 42. I mean, come on.
What else you gonna see?
Yeah. So, but yeah, he saved my leg. He took the vein. I don't know if you know anything about leg anatomy, like in the inside.
Just some arteries and that's it.
Okay. Well, you have the saphenous vein,
Mm-hmm.
and veins go away from the heart,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Or excuse me, they go. Crap. Now I've got it all. Yeah, arteries go away from the heart, veins go to your heart.
Oh, okay.
Had it backwards. Well, in the vein, there's little flaps that flap open.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they took my vein out of my leg in one area, and then they basically flipped it upside down and did a bypass on the area. Basically, like they do a bypass on your heart, the coronary artery in your heart. They did the same thing on my leg. And it's called a femoral popliteal bypass. So it's the femoral artery, popliteal artery, and then so I have like a little bypass road between those two, because that's where the clots kept forming. And when I went in for my follow-up after my emergency fem pop, I walk into the cardiac surgeon's office, by the way, who had the most gorgeous blue eyes I'd ever seen in my life, that I saw peeking out from his mask. I was about a third of the median age of the people that were in the waiting room. And this one little old lady asked me, "Dear, are you here to pick up your mama or your..." And I'm like, "No, ma'am, I'm here for myself." And they're like, "Oh, you're too young to be here." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what they've been telling me." So it was just, I kind of got a little reality check and he said that he called it a graft, even though it's my body, it's not Teflon, it's my body.
Mm-hmm.
It has a life expectancy of 2 to 12 years. And this is 2017, and I have the same graft. So either he did something right, I'm doing something right, or God's doing something right.
Yeah.
One of the three.
Or he got the wrong prediction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he said 2 to 12, so that's a pretty big point spread right there. So, but then I started working on my major.
What was that?
At first it was nursing,
Mm-hmm.
and then when I realized that was going to be too taxing on my body, because I was chasing after 2 boys. My husband's on deployment, and I'm having to chase down patients and stuff. The stress was too high, so I changed my major to health education, because I was like, well, if I can't be a player, I'll be a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. And I had to actually quit school in 2010, 2011. I'm like 1 year shy of my bachelor's, and I had to quit school. I got very, very sick. Had my first I don't want to say round. My first go at chemo, and that was with big guns, because it was. Remember how I had said that I could either stroke or spontaneously combust, whichever time of day it was? Well, there's this thing called petechiae, and petechiae is the little tiny capillaries, up on top of your skin. They burst.
Yeah.
Well, I had woken up one morning And I looked down at my legs, and mind you, I did not look well. And my husband he just, do not pass go. He just kind of pushed me into the car and went to the hospital. And I had like, I looked like one of those steam or asphalt trucks or whatever ran over me a few times. I had petechiae on steroids. I had bruises all over my chest, legs, everything. And normal platelet count is 150, basically 150,000 per to 450. Mine was 3,000. So he was like, okay, benefit is outweighing the risk. We're going to put you on chemo. And I'm like, if the benefit's outweighing the risk, go for it. Do you see what that's how I have to decide on my well-being, the well-being of my children, the well-being of every aspect of my life. Is the benefit has to outweigh the risk.
Yeah.
And now I'm on a new chemo, and it sucks. Just doesn't suck as bad as the first one.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was Cytoxin. This is a new one, and it's they classify it as a virological. So basically, they're shutting down my immune system, but also giving me a virus at the same time. So I don't understand the mechanics all too well on it yet. But
so how does it feel being on chemo? Like, what do you feel?
Well, they give you pre-meds.
Mm-hmm. Which are?
For me, is Phenergan, which is an anti-nausea,
mm-hmm.
Salumedrol, which is a steroid, which is an anti-inflammatory, and then Benadryl, which is an antihistamine.
Mm-hmm.
The Benadryl also kind of helps with the Phenergan.
Okay.
Because Phenergan is actually an antihistamine by class.
Mm-hmm.
But they give you a pre-med, and then they always run saline with it, and they mix your little cocktail down in the pharmacy, and then they shimmy it up to me and they hang it, and I find it kind of amusing that it's actually brought in that lime green chai color. I swear to God.
Oh, the bag itself or the liquid?
The bag they hang it in. And I was like, I actually have put a thing on the side. I'm like, look, my chemo's in the chive too. I guess it's good then. I got a kick out of it. I don't think I had to explain to the nurses what I meant by, chive. I was like, you've heard of chive charities? And they were like, oh yeah. And I'm like, that's the color. And she was like, you're right. I mean, she was shocked. And then I'm like, I said, okay, so it's good then. Because I know that was the first thing I noticed when they brought it. And I was like, okay. And the drug I'm on now is a brand new on the market. So, I mean, it's highly expensive. It's high, but I'm not paying for it. I think I've hit my catastrophic cap already.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's actually good. That means no co-pays for a while.
Oh, yeah. Medical insurance. Medical insurance. Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, so how do you get through all this? Like, you went through, like, I can't imagine how much pain you've been through.
Well, pain physically, or are you meaning physically, emotionally, mentally?
Like, the whole
gamut.
Yeah, the whole gamut. Because that's that's a lot. What you've been through for the past 20 years.
A very, very, very supportive husband. educating myself. Big time. And especially when I have friends of mine that like, oh, you know, they think I have such and such. Oh, they think I have... WebMD says this. I'm like, no. Don't go to WebMD. No.
Oh.
Take your ass to the library. Get those things called encyclopedias or, you know, and research it yourself. Don't go to WebMD. Research it yourself. The more you research it, that's the biggest armor you can have. Research the doctors, research the area you're in, research who's the doc. If you're given, oh, this doc is taking my insurance, but this doc doesn't. Why doesn't this doc take my insurance? Maybe because that doc is the best one, and he doesn't take your insurance because he either doesn't have room for new patients or because his, you know, bedside manner and his skills are so great that there's like the charges are indicative of him being a great doctor. He's going to have you do those labs that this doc was like, oh, you don't really need to do that, whatever, but educating yourself. That's a biggie for me. I keep myself educated on the new drugs, the new, what's the word? Dadgummit, it happened again. Treatments. And then, you know, chronic pain. Oh, dear God. Everybody loves to talk about people with chronic pain are drug addicts on pain medication, blah, 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 blah. Not all of us.
No, especially, you know, your situation, all the people similar situations.
I used to be part of a extremely reputable pain management clinic here in Jacksonville. And I had the cleanest record. I documented everything, I even gave all my paperwork to the doctors that were treating me, because every hospital has their own cardiology team. They have their own GI team. They have their own. Every hospital does. Your doctor's not going to come to that hospital and no. It's that hospital has their own team now.
Yeah.
Now, before they would do, your doctor would come. And through the course of me being on the pain medication, even though I would hand you, here's my history, here's my meds, here's all my allergies, here's all my information.
Yeah.
If I'm handing all of that to you, plus the number to my pain management clinic, if I'm disclosing all that information to you,
drop my phone.
What the hell? Why would you think it doesn't make any sense? And so people just automatically assume, oh, you have chronic pain, blah, blah. And so I get the question of, you know, well, what are you on? And I'm like, well, I was on this and this, you know, 3 years ago, until 3 years ago. But now I'm not on any of it. Because I got tired of being, you know, whispered about by the medical staff, by nurses, by doctors. I was assaulted and battered by a doctor in an emergency room.
What do you mean by that?
My hematologist is a doctor who specializes in the blood.
Yeah.
And hematologists are always oncologists for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And there are blood vessels all over your body. And I'm a big clotter, but I also can bleed.
Yeah.
I was leaving class, and I had to run by my hematology office and do a quick blood draw, and I was like, my foot is like killing me, because I had my tennis shoes on, and it was to the point I couldn't wear my tennis shoes. And I showed it to the chick in the lab, and I was like, she goes, her eyes got as big as saucers, and she said, let me go get Doc. I'm like, okay. And I mean, and it was painful. Oh dear God, it was painful. And he came down and he took a look at it. And of course I was right next door to hell. Yeah, Orange Park Medical Center. And he said, take yourself to the emergency room now. You might have a clot in your foot. And I'm like, my foot? I mean, I've heard of them in the leg and your knee. I've had them in my knee, brain. I mean, in a foot? And he was like, get there. I was like, okay. And he was going to call ahead. And by the time I got there and got in, I was in such excruciating pain. So I'm on the table, and the nurses are trying to get, me in, all stabilized and whatnot. And I'm just screaming because it just hurt so bad. And the doctor I had, such an ass. Mind you, my hematologist sent me. He's a blood doctor. He knows about blood clots. And this one doctor, he took my foot.
Yeah.
And with all of his, not just palpated my foot, mm-hmm. but he actually grabbed my foot and he pulled, like really pulled. So he assaulted and battered me from that pull, because you want to talk about dogs hearing pitches that, yeah, I screamed so loud in that ER, people were running into my room because they thought that, I needed help.
Yeah.
Well, there was already a clan in my room, including the doctor. And when that happened, the doctor said, young lady, you're just here for drugs. You don't get clots in your foot. You get them in your leg. And I said, well, why don't you explain that to my hematologist, you schmuck? He's the one who sent me here. Now discharge my ass. I'm going somewhere else. I got out of there. My husband took me to another hospital. We went from hospital to hospital to hospital to hospital until Mayo Clinic finally was like, they knew what was wrong.
So was the clot in the foot?
No. Actually, it was the beginnings of me having neuropathy and the first sign of MS.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But either way, I had every symptom of a blood clot in my foot. And I told my hematologist about it. He's like, oh my God. He's like, well, that's the first for me. And I'm like, yeah, they Dopplered it, they ultrasounded it, they did all they ruled everything out, and that's the only, and here comes neurology, and I had all the telltale signs, and I'm like, well, okay, score 1 for them. And I still plan on doing my paperwork to the Florida board against the doctor for
So
Yeah.
when was this?
2010, 2011.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Fortunately, he's no longer at that hospital, at least as far as I'm told. But I used to tell the nurses when I went there that if he came within 50 feet of me, don't get in my way, because I will kick the living shit out of him.
Oof.
And I'll leave bruises. Because I got a pair of shit kickers in my trunk.
Shit kicker.
I was raised in Middleburg. What can I say?
Middleburg.
I got a pair of boots and a pair of shit kickers. I got both. My shit kickers can lace up, so it's easy. It's hard to get blood out of a zipper, so I do all my ass kicking with my lace up shit kickers. Because it's easier to get blood out of laces.
It's easier to get blood.
It's true. But, and then the other thing, I have devout Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
I have my boys, and then that includes my husband. He's a kid too. But I have my boys. I have 2 boys, ages 25
Wow.
and 20. My 25-year-old, he is in Boston going to grad school.
Oh, wow. Which university?
Boston College.
Okay.
But I said, "You're still going to be a Florida Seminole, right?" He's like, "Of course." And he's got 2 bachelor's degrees, one in Spanish linguistics and international affairs is the other. And he's also fluent in ASL, almost fluent in French. He was learning Italian his first year when he lived in Boston. Now he did Greek, he did Christology. Now he's doing either Hebrew or Latin, because those are Latin, Greek, and Hebrew are 3 of the other languages that he needs for his grad school master's that he's getting.
And what's his master's in?
He's doing Christian theology.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or, how to be a teacher in a Catholic school.
That's a lot of languages, though.
Yeah, he picks them up. He picks them up like that. And then my baby boy goes to Florida State. Go Noles. And the whole time my boys grew up, they've had this mama who has this terrible disease and everything. And I thought that it totally screwed him up completely. And
Sounds like the opposite.
with CJ, he's my oldest. No, I don't think so. With Nick, I thought Nick would be the one, because he was he was the baby. So, he went through all of it. And I didn't raise my boys to be materialistic.
Oh, that's good.
At Christmas time, they asked one, what do they want from Santa? One present from Santa, one present, and then one present would come from, because we're military, we can't afford things very much.
And plus you're moving around a lot too.
Yeah, and I didn't want them to lose the whole reason around why we celebrate Christmas. Just, at the get-go of it. I didn't want them to fall into that trap, kind of, I don't want to say trap, but anyway.
Yeah,
so they weren't raised to be materialistic. And my youngest came, I was like, have you given any thought to what you're majoring in? He goes, and he's my artistic boy. He can draw like you can imagine. Oh my gosh. And I'm thinking he's going to major in architecture, graphic design,
Yeah.
He's like chemical engineering, and he's 6'5". And I call him Mama's baby knuckle dragger, because he's got the long legs, long arms, and And he goes, chemical engineering. And I'm like, do what?
What made him go there?
Wait. I thought you were going to go into like architecture or something, something like that. And he goes, no, I want to make bank. And I'm like, Nick, I did not raise you to be that materialistic. Seriously, why are you going into chemical engineering? And he's my silent giant. CJ, he has no problems with giving you hugs, giving you kisses, all that stuff. Nick, exact opposite. Nick looks at me and he goes, because I want to find a cure for your disease, Mom.
Aww.
And I was like, I need to run out of the room as fast as I can because I'm about to cry. But at the same time, I need to wrap my hand. I just wrapped my arms around him and I just started crying. And because it was just like, that was me knowing that you didn't screw your son up with this disease.
If anything, it kind of like empowered him.
Yeah. It was just like, it was totally different from what I was expecting him to answer. Some kind of go make bank. I want to buy, I'm like, dude, you're not gangster. Just don't even try. We're from the South. Don't. But that was for me the affirmation of I didn't screw my kids up. With CJ, it was, something different, He said, I just couldn't watch you die anymore. And, I was like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I just keep doing what I can do. If I can't, if I wake up tomorrow morning and I can't move because I'm in so much pain, because realize I live in chronic pain every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, I'm at about a 3. And a 3 would probably equate to a really bad migraine.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay.
So.
And this is all over your body, right? Or just.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I live at that every day. When it starts going up, something's going on. I might have an infection.
Mm-hmm.
I might be under a lot of stress. I might have just the inkling of an infection that may be starting. Discovered that one 2 weeks ago. Or there could be a hurricane coming. Seriously, when the pressure starts dropping.
Okay.
Yeah. I learned that early on. I don't know, were you here when Florida had Hurricanes Bonnie, Charlie, Francis, there was another one, and then Ivan. But
what years was that? Or what year was that?
Ay, Dios mío. 2004, 2005?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was here.
Fish?
Yeah, that's when my parents took me down here.
Okay, yeah. I was one of 9 patients in the hospital during the hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
Because the barometric pressure dropped so low. I think it was during Francis. I don't know, the whole damn 6 weeks it was hell. And I was one of 9 patients on the floor for the same reason. I was in excruciating pain, and it was because the barometric pressure dropped. And when the pressure drops, inflammation, you get inflamed. Mm-hmm. And just like when you're flying, when you go up in elevation, what happened? I mean, it's basic chemistry.
Yeah.
You know, when the pressure drops, you swell.
Yeah, like first time I went to visit one of my good friends in Denver. He moved out there. I ended up getting what do you call it?
Altitude sickness?
Yeah, I ended up getting altitude sickness. I had bad headache.
You throwing up?
No, I wasn't throwing up.
You're lucky.
Yeah, I heard some people have different symptoms, so I had really bad headache. My blood pressure went up. Mm-hmm. The second time I went out there, I felt fine, but I thought I was dying. I'm like, ooh, maybe I need to go to the hospital.
Yeah, because my godchildren, they live in southeast Arizona, and they live at 4,500 feet elevation. So I actually, because I usually drive out there to go visit, and I usually start climbing when I am, getting out of the panhandle of Texas and getting into New Mexico, and that's when you start climbing and in elevation. So I stop in Albuquerque, and I stay there a day to acclimate to the elevation, and then I wait a day out, and then I go back to driving, and then I like, hey, because my godchildren are 1/4 Mexican American.
Oh.
But yeah, it sucks. It really does. And I would be lying if I didn't say, I can't even think of how to word it. There are days where, like, God, really, I could just down a whole bottle of, like, Tylenol and just say, fuck it. And then I look at the picture of my kids, and I look at the picture of my husband, I'm like, nope, won't do it. And besides, I'm too damn stubborn. And I'd probably kick my own ass, considering I have a pair of boots and a pair of shit kickers. And that I have a lot of friends who have a pair of boots and shit kickers, and they'd probably kick my ass if I did something stupid too. Well, not stupid, but what's the drastic?
Drastic.
Yeah. But yeah, it sucks. So, in my little head.
Means.
What's that? You have a look of like.
Like what?
You don't know what to say.
Yeah, I am. No, I'm lost for words. Yeah, I'm lost for words.
Don't worry. They used to. My doc a long time ago used to sick his medical student on me, and at first I would be like, all right, not a problem. And after a while, I was like getting so tired of rattling off all this information, like meds and allergies and all the shit that I went, surgeries I went through for the lupus and everything. And I looked at these students, I'm like, can you write fast? Because I'm only saying it once.
This is coming over a script, like, here you go.
And I went through it, and by the time I was done, they would look up at me like pen in hand, and they're like so gobsmacked that one guy actually said, they were like, and you're still alive?
Yeah, it's amazing, especially for
and I'm
20
like,
years.
No, I'm a figment of your imagination. Yes, I'm still alive. I'm sitting right in front of you. And he was like, most people wouldn't be alive. And I'm like, yeah, I'm still here. Obviously, I haven't done whatever it is I need to do, but, I'm still here. And that's what gave me the initiative to, bitch, type your shit up instead of having to rattle it off. Just hand it to him and be like, here.
Let's make this quick. Make this fast.
It's 4 pages long. Like, all my information is right here. You're welcome. Oh, we'll make a copy of it. No, it's yours. I've got plenty. Yeah. And with lupus, I have a lot of allergies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Crickets.
Yeah, I was just making sure that was coming from the microphone.
No. I have a lot of allergies to drugs. And so when I was at the ER a couple weeks ago, God, Barbie the Wonder Doll in CT failed to look at my allergies.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm allergic to not only the dye that they give you before a CT.
Mm-hmm. The radioactive dye?
Yeah, it's called IVP dye. And it's so you're into everything glows. And
yeah.
For CT. But I'm also allergic to the barium. So I'm allergic to both. So and I'm like, I can't drink that. Oh, because you're nauseous? I'm like, no, because I'm allergic to it. It's on my list, damn it. And I'm like, I had 3 red bracelets. You know you have a lot of allergies.
Yeah.
If you got 3 red bracelets, and the writing on them is really tiny. Yeah, she didn't bother reading my allergies. And she just, I'm like, idiot. Yeah. She didn't look like she was old enough to drive a car anyway, but she didn't look at my allergies. So it's like, I have to be educated about myself. I have to be educated about what others are doing. I have to be aware at all times. Because, case in fact, today, she was a new nurse to Mayo, but she was seasoned.
Yeah. She
was probably in her 50s or whatever. And she didn't know that I can't have heparin. There's this thing that happens to my platelets. It's called heparin-induced thrombocytopenia. And thrombocytopenia, that's your platelets, your thrombocytes. Well, heparin-induced thrombocytopenia, which means the heparin is causing your platelets to go low, to bottom out. So I can't have heparin at all, which is a blood thinner. And it's also called HIT. And she was about to start my port, and for most patients who are the normal patients, I am of the abnormal. You use heparin on them. And she's like, but I'm like, saline. All you have to do is flush it with saline, because I really don't want my beloved Russian hematologist to give you a call after you gave me heparin, because he is a very sweet man, but he's Russian. I'm sure he can get pissed. Loudly and in a different language. And she's like, and I can recognize the bottle too. So I'm like, little girl, that right there, I can't have it. And she's like, this? And I'm like, yeah, it's heparin, right? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I can't have that. Get that off the table now. And so, God help me if I'm ever unconscious and they give me heparin. Yeah.
Right. It's like
medical nightmare.
So we're going, because you said you're an EMT.
Mm-hmm.
And
used to be.
You have any cool stories from that? Because I used to be a cop, so everybody.
You used to be a cop? Well, first-hand cool stories, or yeah, I can give you a first-hand cool story, and then I can give you a second-hand cool story.
Yeah, just tell me what we.
Okay. Yeah, I became certified in 93, 94 time frame, and I was getting off. I was doing my hours at the time. So I wasn't quite certified yet. I was just still logging my hours. And I had just gotten off shift. And I stopped at, there was a Crystals on 103rd and Blanding. Because I used to ride with Rescue 10 training. And there was a guy from Jacksonville Fire Rescue in there. So I'm in my uniform. I was like, mind if I sit with you? And he's like, yeah, sure. And so, I'm eating whatever. And I was like, so, how's y'all's night doing? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you don't want to know. And I'm like, all right, well, tell me your most craziest, most whacked out story you've ever heard or you've ever experienced. And he was like, you're eating. And I'm like, dude, I just came from Rescue 10. You do realize where we are, where our little domain is. And I was like, I've already puked once from a house. You can't phase me at this point. And he's like, okay. Well, back then they had the dot matrix printers. Mm-hmm. And some guys, when they'd be asleep, they could still hear the little beep for the printer, just because it'll start printing. It'll go beep, and then it'll start printing, and then the alarm goes off. Mm-hmm. And, well, started printing, alarm goes off. They rip the, chit off of the printer. And it read, Signal 17, which back, was sick person.
Okay.
And it said complainant, which was the wife, states that a husband's or spouse's anal orifice was a device was lodged in the anal orifice of her spouse. So, of course, already they are laughing up a shitstorm. And there was always, there was always like caution notes at the bottom of the chit, and like caution, armed and dangerous, or whatever. Well, this one said caution, device is still running. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, yeah. And so they did all their laughing and all the way to the house. And so they, regain their composure. Yeah. And they get to the door, ring the doorbell, like, Jacksonville Fire Rescue. She opens the door, and she's got her bathrobe on. This is according to this guy. And she's, like, holding it up with, her hand up by her neck and stuff. And she goes, my husband is very embarrassed about this. And he said that if y'all laugh, he's going to tell you to get the fuck out. And they said, ma'am, we're professionals. We've seen things like this all the time. They were lying through their teeth. They had never seen this. And so she goes, okay, just as long as you know, if you laugh, he's going to tell you to get the fuck out. We got it, ma'am. So she takes him to the bedroom. He's lying on his stomach with a comforter over his backside. And they could hear it.
Oh my God.
And they're trying so hard to keep a straight face. And the dude looked at him, I guess, deadpan. Mm-hmm. And he said, if y'all are going to laugh, you can get that out. They lost it. They couldn't. And so they had to plead with the wife and the husband, like, your husband needs to go to an emergency room. And they were like, at least let us give you an escort. We will help load you into your own car and take you out. It was like, but you need to get to the hospital. So he agrees to that. So they load him into his own car. His wife is driving. And I'm just thinking to myself going, never fails. What does a fire crew do when they get and drop off the patient? What do you think they did?
Oh,
they hung around. They hung around. They hung around and waited. And the doctor, because it was still running when they brought him into the emergency room. So the doctor went in there and stuff, and I guess they were getting coffee or whatever, but the doctor went up to the firefighter, and he said, well, I've been proven, or he said, quarter of an inch more, I would have had to surgically remove it. That was not a lie. And then he said, but I have been proven one thing. And the crew chief was like, what? And he goes, Energizers do keep running. And running. Because that bitch was still running when he pulled it out.
It was still running.
It was still running when he pulled it out.
Was it sticking out?
No, it was in there. It got like, I don't know if it got sucked in or stuck or what, but yeah. It was still, he had just enough space to get it with, I guess, a big pair of forceps and pulled it out. And it was all the way. I'm like going, dear God in heaven, yeah. That. But, that wasn't my domain. But when I was in Maryland, we had a motorcycle versus truck accident. And where we lived, it was a volunteer rescue squad. So, podunk, I guess. It's a way of describing. Big Mennonite area. So it's very country out there. And so our rescue vehicle, we were looking for, okay, where's the truck? Where's the bike? We couldn't find. I mean, we were like, they're like, on the radio, we're like, we're driving past, we can't find them. Well, we finally found them. He was on the ground. No motorcycle. No truck. No helmet, which was against the law.
Yeah.
And so we finally found him. We stopped to, we had to finagle a way to stop because it was a 2-lane road.
Yeah.
And dude was completely conscious. And we're like, where's your truck? Or where's the truck? Were you on the... it was like we were trying to figure out, okay, were you on the motorcycle or were you in the truck? What? Because there's no helmet. Well, he was actually the motorcyclist. And we were like, where's your bike? And your helmet? Because he had a pretty bad leg injury. So we were just like, where's your bike? Where's your helmet? Neither to be found. So that was questionable. So it was like red flag. Eek. And where we lived, the rescue squad, all of the good trauma stuff, stuff that I love, all gets flown out up to D.C. But the state troopers are the ones that do all the flying for Maryland in that area. So they would be like Trooper 2 or Trooper 7, the helos up there. And so my crew chief, after we got him on his back, and he kept kicking. He kicked me. He kicked with his good leg. We were trying to stabilize him or secure his neck and all that stuff. But every time his other leg got, just the inkling of like touch or whatever, the one that was really badly injured, it was a compound fracture, which means the bone is sticking out of the skin. He would kick with his good foot. And I'm like, dude, stop kicking me. Stop kicking me. I know it hurts, but just don't kick me because then it's going to take longer. And I don't know if it was me or another crew member, but, oh no, he kicked my crew chief. So my crew chief kind of held his shoulders down. And he's like, if you don't stop kicking my crew, I'm going to break your other leg. I'm like, wish I'd have thought about that one, because I could have done that myself. So we got them all packaged up, and the fly out was going to be landing on a baseball field that was like, I don't know, probably 100 yards away. And we go and meet the trooper. They come back, and the trooper is also a registered nurse. So they're not just a state trooper, they're also a registered nurse.
Wow.
Yeah. And she was doing the assessment of everything. And because we're like, no helmet, no bike, no truck. All right. Here is a ticket for no helmet. Here is a ticket for no motorcycle. And here is another ticket for whomever. But since you are the only party left, leaving the scene of an accident. So he's handed 3 tickets on top of the fact he's being sent to D.C. with a compound fracture that's going to have to be going into surgery for. So, yeah. I'm like going, boy, talk about getting kicked in the ass. I mean, it's like, it's one thing to be knocked when you're down, but then just kept getting kicked and kicked. Got 3 more kicks. Yeah, right before the helicopter took off. He got handed 3 tickets. And up there in Maryland, the tickets aren't cheap. They're not as cheap. They're more expensive than the ones here.
Did they ever find out, like, what really happened? No?
No.
I'd love to see the accident.
That's for the people who get paid. We were volunteers. But it was, we got a kick out of that one because it was just, that was pretty sad. Bad enough that he had a compound fracture and all this and road rash from here to yesterday, and he's got 3 tickets that I think, I want to say were maybe over $2,000.
Oh.
And that's probably going to be in addition to his medical bills and physical therapy and Yeah. It's sad, I know.
Whatever. He had it coming. He had it coming, yeah. Yeah. But when I blew out my knee, my last call, that started all the crap in my knee. That was best adrenaline rush I ever had, and at the same time, I was so pissed. Yeah, what happened?
I had to go up on I'm deathly afraid of heights. But when you have like so much training, you just kind of, they had to call in a ladder truck. Guy fell, construction worker fell from 3rd story rooftop to the 2nd story rooftop, landed on his back on the joint of where the flat cement came together. And so, possible broken back, broken neck, whatever. We had to actually put him in a basically like a litter, and it comes apart, and it connects at the top and the bottom, and it's called a scoop. And you have like one side, and you just kind of up underneath, and you use the other side up underneath, and it clicks together at the top and the bottom, and then you use a lot of freaking belts to secure them, and then we had to shimmy them down the ladder, and I'm in full gear, and full gear weighs, I mean, if you since you said you used to work, you used to be a cop, have you ever held a fireman's jacket?
Yeah, pretty heavy.
Yeah, they got a lot of weight to them. Well, I had the jacket and the trousers and the helmet and the boots. Ooh. Yeah, I was in full gear, and I got up the ladder fine. I got up and down fine. But when we went to transfer them, that's when my knee was at a perfect 90-degree angle, which is. But I mean, I was in perfect form to, like, you know, if you were doing like a regular squat when you're working out. So I was at a perfect 90-degree angle, and I was knocked off balance, and my boot, the toe of it, it got lodged, it got stuck underneath the support beam of the stretcher. Yeah. And so the top half of me went what is that, 15 degrees? Went 1/4 of a circle. So I went 1/4 of a circle this way, and then it went back. Boom. So if you ever played the Life game back when it came out, that's what it sounded like, and I was like in slow motion, and it was March up in Maryland, so it was still cold. I was wearing blue jeans underneath my gear, and they get me on a back. I actually grabbed my crew chief because after I was screaming like a banshee, and I grabbed by his shirt, and I brought his face to mine. I was like, "Don't put me in a fucking C-collar. I landed on my ass." And he's like, "We just need to get you on a backboard and out of the bus lane so the kids can go to home." Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so they got me on a backboard, and there was only one woman besides me. And the rest were all men. So there was like, I think maybe 8 of them total. And I could see her. She was at the other end of the table, and I could see her. And she's like, "We're not cutting the gear. It's too expensive because it's a volunteer squad." I'm like, "Okay, shimmy them out, So they all lifted me up and shimmied me out of my gear. Yeah. And so I'm wearing blue jeans. Of course, it's my $80 pair of blue jeans. And back then, $80 pair of blue jeans now would be like, what? 300. Yeah. And she goes, "Your blue jeans, are we cutting them or are you shimming them?" And I look around me, and I'm like, "I am not bonding in my Hanes with you motherfuckers. I'm sorry. Ain't gonna happen." And they got a good laugh out of it. I was like, "Go ahead and cut them." And this is when I turned into, I'm a girl mode. She's right when she started cutting my jeans. That's when I started crying. And she's like, "Oh my gosh. Okay, where's it hurt?" I'm like, "No, it's not that." And she's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I haven't shaved my legs in 3 weeks."
Oh my God.
And all the guys started cracking up laughing, and shredded a $80 pair of blue jeans and gave, a bunch of crew members a good laugh by saying I haven't shaved my legs in 3 weeks. And because it was still cold, so yeah. And then all hell broke loose with me when I came home that summer. So, like I said, it builds character. Yeah.
So, how'd you meet your husband?
How did I meet my husband?
Yeah. I always love hearing his stories.
Let's see. I got chased by an ex-boyfriend who was active duty military. And he just couldn't get the hint. Well, I was like, oh, the base. And pulled into the base, and while they were carding me, and I had an officer sticker on my car at the time because it was my daddy. And I was like, sir, the guy behind me is chasing me. He's my ex-boyfriend, and he's chasing me, and it's scaring me to death. And he's like, I'll take care of it. Like, okay. And then I go to see if my current boyfriend got dumped.
Ooh.
And I'm like, the fuck? And then I go to, it used to be called Vital Signs. It was a bar on base that allowed 18 and up. And I was 18. And I had friends of mine that were there. And, you know, I was like all sweaty and grimy and stressed and got chased by a psycho ex-boyfriend. Then I got dumped by an absolute jerk. And then I, you know, and I was just like, well, she then told my husband, and I, at the time, she said, see that girl over there? She's had a really bad day. Can you go take care of her? And he was like, alright. He came up behind me and started to massage my shoulders. And I turned around and looked at him with a look of death of, who are you and why are you touching me? And he said, well, she said you've had a really bad day and for me to take care of you. So I'm massaging your shoulders to help, relax you a little bit. And I was like, okay. A little weird, but alright. And from that, I mean, it may sound cliche, but I knew the moment I met him that he was it.
Really?
Yeah, I had pictures made 3 weeks after meeting him. I'm not kidding. I have them on my Facebook. And of a very young me with him, and had them done 3 weeks into meeting him. My oldest son, that is his dad. That's not his biological father, but that is his dad.
He took over that role?
Yeah, and not... I didn't even have to ask him.
Oh.
Well, because his biological father was an alcoholic ass. Yeah. He owes so much money for back child support. I could have paid... Well, they actually add interest to it.
Oh my God.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
And yeah, they add interest to it. And we could pay off our house and both of our kids' college bills with the amount of money that he owes. And he also owes money to the IRS because he claimed my child. I say my child because my child.
Yeah.
He claimed my child without my permission. So he got the earned income credit.
But not. You never deserved it.
And I always tell my friends that I'm never afraid of a cop. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid of the IRS, but I'm not afraid of a cop. And they're like, yeah, you got a point. Yeah. But so it's like, not only does he owe money in the state of Florida, he owes money to the IRS. So he's either way.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the similar situation with my father. He didn't really pay child support, and I'm pretty sure he owes a lot of taxes to the government. Like a lot of taxes. I'm surprised they haven't found him yet.
Well, I mean, we've blocked them from, all our phone numbers and social media and things like that. And my oldest, because he's close with his auntie and his cousins, which is, his biological father's sister and her kids. He's still close with them, and they respect the fact that CJ did a very diplomatic thing of...
The CJ is...
My oldest.
Oldest, okay.
And I thought he was going to take on my husband's last name, because he had petitioned so many times to adopt, CJ.
Yeah.
Dude, you're not going to have, the child support. That could be null and void. Blah, 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 blah. We were giving him all kinds of carrots. He'd be like, fuck the carrots. No, that's my son. Well, then pay for him. Do something.
Yeah, social support.
Yeah, something. And no, nothing. So CJ, his 18th birthday was 3 months before he graduated high school. And when best damn check I ever wrote the clerk of the courts, he went to do a name change. He chose my maiden name, which is German.
What's your maiden name? What is it?
It's 10 letters long. It's pronounced Wildermuth.
Oh, that sounds like a cool name.
In German, it's Wildemut, and it means wild courage.
Wow.
But so he was going to do the reveal, the form that he filled out, and whatnot, to my dad, because my daddy only had daughters. He never got a son. So his name wasn't going to go on.
Oh, wow.
So CJ's 18th birthday party, I got CJ his Florida State cake because he got into Florida State, and I put, Christopher J, and then I put the last name. And my dad, after my dad hadn't looked at the cake, and he was like, happy, and he was using his birthday. What? And then he just had this, puzzled, he's like, and CJ handed him an envelope, and he opened the envelope, and it was the application for the name change. And my daddy, anytime, 28-year veteran AO, played with bombs in the Navy. Great guy to bring the cake home to. Oh, my dad plays with bombs. And he's an officer. He's the gunner, actually. But the only time I know my dad's getting emotional, if it's not being pissed or happy, he will turn around. Happened when I had to tell him that his beloved grandmother had died, and this time. And he turned his back around, and I saw his shoulders go up, and I heard him take a sniff. And then he turned back around, and he was just like, wait, what? And fortunately, we got a judge right. We got into this one judge's docket for CJ to stand in front of, and the judge asked, he asked them all sorts of questions. I was looking at my dad, and I'm like, because the dude was asking, like, do you have any minor children? And I'm like, God, do you owe money to the government? I mean, it was just like, what? And, took about 15 minutes of questions. And then the judge asked my son, now you tell me why you want to change your name. And he said, well, I would love to take on the name of the man who raised me, which is, my stepfather.
Yeah.
But because I'm close to my auntie and Mimi and my cousins from my biological father, I'm going to take my mother's maiden name, so that way there's no animosity on both sides.
Okay.
And I was like, damn. In that 18-year-old brain, can you think of someone having that much thought process into a decision?
Like a wise decision he made.
Yeah. So I was like, he's old soul. He's wise beyond his years. I'm like, no wonder the kid can pick up languages, and stuff. But yeah, that was the main reason why he took my name and not my husband's name. Even though my husband, that's been his dad ever since he was 15 months old. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Like he came up on that. He came up by that himself. Ooh, I'm getting tongue-tied. He just came up with that by himself.
It's contagious. Yeah. Yeah. They're smart kids. They frustrate me. They anger me. Growing up and everything. And then there's those moments where they just astound me, for the good and the bad. They amaze me. They breathe life into me. And now that they don't live at home anymore, it's like, if I just get a phone call, that just makes my day even better. It's like, oh, my pain's at a 9 now, and I'm not going in the ER anytime soon. I don't want to. But the phone rings, and I see it's, CJ, or if it's Nick. And just a 15-minute phone call. It's like, yeah, I'm still at a 9, but you know what? I don't care. I'm taking the 15-minute phone call. Yeah, same thing with my husband. It's just... So it's those people, my faith, my education, and then my music.
So you do you, what do you call it? You play any instruments, or you just love listening to music?
I'm a first soprano.
Ooh.
And I was in my church's choir until just after Christmas. And then I had just way too many things going on. It was like my husband's father-in-law passed, and so we had to fly out for the 1-year anniversary, and it was like there was just too many trips, too many things, and it was just too many, doing chemo, and I have more labs, and I'm having, problems with my eyes, and I have to do more labs, and it was like I just couldn't keep up, and I just couldn't do it as much as I want to. And I don't know if do you know Randy Johnson?
He sounds familiar.
Yeah. I was taking him to a party once, and I had one of my playlists on, and it went from country to opera to rock to heavy metal to hip hop to
all the genres.
Broadway music. I mean, it was just like he was like, damn. Oh, and then Latin, because Juanes was playing, and then Enrique was playing. But it was like Juanes was playing, and then all of a sudden, the flower duet started in from the opera Lamke. And he was like, "You have got one eclectic," and I'm like, I love music as long as I can, it doesn't sound like garbage. Mm-hmm. I like it. I can't do Bob Dylan though. He just sounds way too weird.
I like a few of his songs. So
I like it if he's not singing them. But I like the ones that he's written for other people that are really good.
All Along the Watchtower, where Jimi Hendrix.
My husband was a big Jimi Hendrix fan. But yeah. But it says. Oh, and my meds. I take, I think, 27. I have a picture of it in my purse. Mm-hmm. The bottles, I think when I counted, it was 15 bottles, and I take 27-ish pills a day. And it's pills to stay alive, pills to combat the side effects of the pills to stay alive, pills to combat the side effects of the pills to stay alive. So it's like I got, and I just, when I mound them up, I pop them in, and I could swallow all of them whole. And the nurses at the hospital look at me like dumbfounded, and they're like, if I actually took each pill one at a time and took it, I would be so full. It's just easier just to get it all in one swap. Ugh. Yeah. So, 27 pills a day. That's right now for the time being. Until, I don't know, the next lab comes back abnormal, or if I'm put on an antibiotic, or if I'm, put on an antiviral, or if I'm put on, it just all depends.
Did they tell you, like, you have so many years to live, or?
Yes and no. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like that question, because I take the stance of a doctor I used to work for, and he was a crazy. He was one crazy dude. He flew Phantoms in Vietnam, if that can kind of give you an aspect of. He knew his shit, and at the same time, you did not mess with him. And I was working in a field where you do not lie to him about a patient. You don't lie because you could potentially kill. Yeah. And I'm like, pleased to meet you too, sir. I mean, it's just like that was, but I was, back when I was initially diagnosed, they were like, oh, you're, because of my severity, because I have the clotting issues, and I have pulmonary hypertension, which is basically my pulmonary artery that goes away from, anyway, my pulmonary artery has high blood pressure, essentially. So I take, I basically take Cialis. I know that sounds, I know that sounds really, really,
because it opens up the blood vessels.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. No, that's how they found what Viagra was.
Well, it was initially, it was marketed when pharmaceutical companies were doing the trials. They found, whoa, look at what are the side effects. So they started marketing Viagra and all that stuff for, for ED. But it was actually, I still have to fill out a form. Like, no, I do not have erectile dysfunction. I have pulmonary hypertension. But they said you'll be lucky to live till you're 40. Mm-hmm. And just before I had my 40th birthday, was when they found the pulmonary hypertension. And she said that you would need a double lung transplant. And I'm like,
wow.
What? So that's when I went out and got a tattoo and started just crossing things off my bucket list.
What tattoo did you get?
My boys. It's on my ankle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that earlier.
Yeah. Their birth dates and Celtic crosses and kind of looks like a rosary and stuff. So my boys. And I lived till I was 40. Had pictures done. And I thought back to when I worked for this, psychotic doctor who, yes, actually threw a chart at my head. That was the day I said, here's my 2 weeks. I'm leaving. I had asked him about this one patient. I'm like, so what are his, how much time does he have? And he looked at me and he said, do you have an expiration date stamped anywhere on your body or inside? Do you know? And I'm like, no. Why? He goes, exactly. He said, I can say you have 3 to 6 months. Or you have, a year at best. Or you have blah, 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 blah. But I don't see an expiration date anywhere. So that's what I tell people a lot. It's like, they said I would be lucky to live to 40. Well, I made it to 40 and passed it. Now they're saying, oh, you'd be lucky if you lived to like 45 or 50. And I'm so damn stubborn, I probably won't die until I'm like 90.
Yeah. There's always cases of people like that. They give them a short. Well, it's like I keep thinking about Stephen Hawking. The physicist, and he has what's that disease?
ALS.
ALS, and I think they gave him 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
and he's 40 or 50 years
he's
later,
still kicking.
He's still like, I'm still coming up with theories that still are crucial for life. Yeah. Like 40 or 50 years later.
Yeah. Either and it's like I don't like pity. I don't like people coming up to me, because obviously if I'm like in church or whatever, and I have my little bandana on and stuff, and yes, I do have a prosthetic that I wear for like special occasions and whatnot, but I don't like people getting up into my personal space going, can I give you a hug? Oh, come here. Let me just give you a hug. Let me. I'm like, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know you like that. Let's, and they just automatically assume, okay, someone on chemo has cancer. No, I don't have cancer. I have an autoimmune illness, but I'm on a chemotherapy to shut my immune system down so that my body won't attack me. If that makes... I mean, It makes sense to me, but I don't know if it would make sense to other people.
I mean, it's a horrifying disease. No body attacking you.
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't get where girls, ladies can tell if they have a bladder infection. Because, like, it'll burn when you pee. Or they'll get pain, like, right where your bladder would be.
Yeah.
I don't get those symptoms. I get the symptoms in my kidneys. So mine start higher. And I've been in renal failure. And so it's like when I start getting pain in my, flanks, I have to get to the doctor quick because I might have a kidney infection. And if my kidney infection goes undetected, I can go into kidney failure. And then that was a big, huge shitstorm as it was. I really don't want to go back in renal failure again. So, yeah. It's one of those building character moments again.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's just, I'm very stubborn. I know my stuff. I actually bet a guy $20 because I was like, dude, you cannot get me there. He was trying to start an IV. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, I can get it. I'm a cocky son of a bitch. I wanted to deck him. He was so cocky. And I kept looking at my husband. I'm like, I'm going to fucking hit him. And my husband's a real chill, West Coast, dude. And he married a Southeastern, Southern Spitfire. He's like, just like, okay. I'm like, I bet you $20 you won't get it on your first try. He's like, oh, I got this. Swear to God, I should have said, show me the money. Seriously. He didn't get it. Took him 3 times, and he still couldn't get it. Then he went to the head nurse down in ICU. She came down and did it. In my neck. No, in my neck. Yeah. Yeah. At least I didn't have to be tourniqueted. You can't tourniquet a head. They just drop your stretcher down. No, seriously, they there's a thing on a stretcher that it'll put your feet up in the air and it'll drop your head down.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just put my head down, and that brings all the blood down into the neck.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna go into we're almost 2 hours. Yeah, we're actually.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna go into this part. It's these are questions I got from basically just kind of like questions you ask people to get learn more about their deeper selves. Like it's basic psychology questions, but not they're fun questions. Okay. And if you feel uncomfortable with my answer them, that's fine. You don't have to answer
I'll
them.
say plead the fifth.
Yeah, plead the fifth. But some of them are actually cute questions, and when we get towards the end of these questions, they're going to be a little bit deeper. Okay. All right. Given the choice of anyone in the world from any time period, who would you want as a dinner guest and why?
As a dinner guest?
Yeah. Or as a party guest or something. Who would you want to hang out with?
Who would I want to hang out with? Mm-hmm. I'm like... Oh my gosh. Oh, what's his name? He's a tap dancer from Singing in the Rain. Oh, I'm a bad girl. I used to want to be a Rockette, and I was a tap dancer. Oh, The movie Singing in the Rain.
Oh,
Gene Kelly.
Gene Kelly.
I was a dancer.
Mm-hmm.
For 10 years.
Wow.
I started in tap, ballet, jazz, and Gene Kelly. And I used to want to be Rockette. But I saw a biography or something. I think it came out like right after Gene Kelly passed away. That he was such a perfectionist when it came to getting those dance sequences down and whatnot, especially for Singing in the Rain, to the point where his feet would be bleeding and everything. And I'm the same way. Especially if I was dancing. Oh my gosh, when I was dancing, it was the same way. To the point, I'd be practicing. Same with music. If I'm handed a piece and I'm like having to do the descant, which is a different melody over the main melody, that is different from a harmony, and it's a first soprano world. But I'm just such this perfectionist, and dancing is like my first love. And I think, if memory serves, Gene Kelly was first a dancer before he was an actor. Just like Frank Sinatra was first a musician before he became an actor. So, I think Gene Kelly.
Oh.
Yeah, the whole 1940s, 1950s glam and all that stuff. Singing in the Rain, that's like, I actually did a number Singing in the Rain when I was like, 12, I believe. Yeah. So Gene Kelly.
Gene Kelly.
I know that sounds really strange, but...
No, that's actually an interesting answer.
Really?
Yeah. Well, think about it. Some people say historians, like a historical figure or current celebrity, which I don't want to talk to any of these current celebrities, but that's actually pretty interesting, though. It actually means a lot, from that background you had.
Yeah. My kicks were eye high. No, they were because when you point your toe, and they're straight leg kicks, and for a rockette, they have to be nose high, and I was eye high, so my kicks were higher, so which means I was more flexible, so yeah, but injured my knee my freshman year, and then it started to be kind of a pain in the... I didn't tear it, but I tweaked it enough for it to be problematic. So then I went into emergency stuff and was able to squat more than 275. And not kidding. Wow. I used to be able to squat.
That's a lot. That's a lot of weight.
Over 275 on a good day. Yeah. And there'd be guys looking at me going, damn! And yeah. And then I had all this junk done to my knee, and so it's all shot to hell. But yeah, Gene Kelly.
Gene Kelly.
That would be so awesome.
Alright. What would constitute a perfect day for you?
A perfect day?
Yeah.
A day with all three of my boys, which of course includes my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Pain-free.
Pain-free?
Pain-free.
Just that type of day?
Mm-hmm. All three of my boys with them. Nobody else. Pain-free. And no medicines.
The thing is, when you're saying that, it kind of reminds me, how sometimes I take stuff for granted like that. Not comparing what you're going through, but last week I woke up with, my back was in pain, and throughout the day it just got worse and worse, my lower back. And I just remember I had to go sleep on the couch. I had to sleep on, basically sitting up on the couch, and I tried sleeping on the ground, and it was horrifying. It was not horrifying. It was painful. And, you know, that's just nothing compared to what you have to do. But then, like, kind of makes you think, too. It's like, we take for granted days when we're actually just healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Just walking around, nothing's wrong. It's just everything's working.
With my own hair. Yeah, my dark brown, almost black, naturally curly hair that's so thick it's hard to get a hair tie around it.
Straighten it.
Yeah. And not have to... No, I'd want the curls, man. You know, that would be great. Be able to, like, toss my hair over like I used to. Just be with my boy, all three of my boys. No meds, no pain. That would be the perfect day. Week. Month. Year. Oh my gosh, that would be the perfect day.
Perfect day. When was the last time, since you like music, when was the last time you sang to yourself, and when was the last time you sang to someone else?
Sang to myself?
Mm-hmm.
In the car on the way here.
Yeah? What song was it?
What is it? It's the song from Coyote Ugly.
Oh, what's her name? I know what you talk about.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Leanne Rimes.
Yeah, Leanne Rimes.
And then, to my husband. Because he was... Ay, Dios. Oh, it was Juanes. Was it Juanes? Yeah. Juanes. Yebatero. By Juanes. I was saying a couple of lines.
Oh.
So I was like, so yebatero. And my husband was in the car on the way back from a movie.
Oh.
Yeah. Friday.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Alright. Okay. If you reach the age of 100 and have the choice of retaining the mind of a 30-year-old or the body for the last 60 years of your life, which would you want? It's like a weird question.
I can't answer that. Well, if I to 100 last 60, body of a 30.
Would you want to keep
neither one?
Neither one.
Because I was 30 when I turned 30 5 years after I was diagnosed with lupus, and if I reached the age of 100. I'd be living in this shit that I live in now, and I don't want to. I don't want to wish that on anybody.
No.
So, there's none of the above.
None of the above.
Mm-mm.
I know. Like, this is a shitty situation to be in.
Yeah.
If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be?
Not to be verbally or physically abused.
So you were
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What kind of asked by who? Or? You don't have to answer.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that one.
All right, we keep going.
I'll just say this. My boys were in no way treated like that by me or my husband.
Yeah, it's like...
My boys know that I love them, that I will die for them, that I've never hit them out of anger. I've never talked down to them, never called them names, never give them a reason to go into therapy like I did. I know that they won't be anorexic, bulimic, or anything like that. So the cycle has stopped with me, I guess is a way of saying.
Yeah, I kind of feel you on that one because I think we come from a good family. I know one day when I do have kids, that's one thing I would guarantee. Like, that's not, they will never know anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, nothing, only will know is love, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, never the nightmares.
I mean, my oldest son saw me get really pissed, and I'm a thrower. Like, closest thing to me, I'll, wah, you know. And the closest thing to me was a clock, like an digital alarm clock. And I was, oh man, I don't know what pissed me off. And my husband was on deployment. It was right after 9/11, so, you know, they like, hurry up and got their asses out there. And I was under a lot of stress, and I was working, and I was going to school, and I was taking care of 2 kids. And something just set me off, and the closest thing to me was a digital alarm clock. And when I just said some type of expletive and threw the alarm clock, almost put a hole in the wall, and it like shattered on my son's bedroom floor. And in the corner of my eye, I saw my son. And he saw me explode. And I'm like, oh shit. Even though that wasn't toward him. But him witnessing that was like, okay. Note to self. Lasso your anger. Just a little bit. Into check, you know. And yeah, so I'm a thrower. That, and I stopped punching walls because I forgot to check for stud.
The stud.
Damn near broke my hand. So, seriously. And a guy that taught, he's a black belt in karate, and he's like, so what'd you do to your hand? And I'm like, I fell in the parking lot. And he goes, bullshit. What do you mean bullshit? I fell in the parking lot. And he goes, I'm a black belt in karate. I teach people how to punch. You punched something, and you punched it wrong. What did you punch? I'm like, damn, I'm busted. Like, the wall. And he's like, why? I'm like, because I was mad. And he's like, next time use a stud finder to look for the stud. I'm like, I was wondering why I didn't make a hole like I usually do. Yeah. My eye went right into the stud, and I punched it wrong.
Oh my god, that hurts. I've done that before.
Yeah, that. It's like when your fist actually bounces off the wall. It's like bad sign. Yeah. Next question.
Let's see. If you wake up tomorrow and gain any power or ability, what will it be and why?
Any power or ability? Oh, God. I don't know. Probably the ability to be able to let things go and let things roll off my back and not be so sensitive and not be so guarded because I'm so sensitive.
Yeah.
So probably to be able to just have friends of mine that are, you know, if, someone doesn't, oh, well, fuck them. Like, yeah, but that's you and I'm me. I'm made differently. And, it's just to not be so sensitive. I don't know if that would be a...
No, I feel like that some ways too. Good example is I went on a second date with this girl last week, and everything up to the day I thought was going well. Then second date could tell she lost interest, and my friend told me I should text her, but now it's kind of like I kind of made an effort letting her know how I feel, but then I'm afraid to text her too because like I don't want to be given the bad news, or be told why, or be let down.
Yeah.
Or given a run around.
And then at the same time, you're sitting there going, okay, what was it that I did that, why didn't she call,
Yeah.
And
what did I say?
Yeah, did I do something wrong? You just sit there and you play that reel in your brain. And yeah, same with me. It's like I sit there and I'm like, okay, I'm around people that know me, but they're not talking to me. Okay, so, I know I'm wearing deodorant. I know I'm wearing the T-shirt. I'm wearing, I'm doing all the stuff that popular kids or whatever. All that. It's like, okay, so why aren't they talking to me? Or why aren't, all right. Daddy's face is, looking like he's getting mad. Okay, am I making him mad? What did she, so it's that reel of, I just really would like to not be so sensitive. That way I can let my guard down a lot easier. Because like when I first enabled to, for people to, like, this is different. This is definitely my guard's down. Mm-hmm. But I usually have a very big wall. I'm usually not this open. But when it's questions like about my disease and things like that, it's like a lot of people don't know about lupus.
No, I didn't really know about.
Some people hadn't even heard of it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I've got one T-shirt that says, "Do I look sick?" And it's written in question form. Mm-hmm. Do I look sick? And then it says, "Do you look stupid?" Looks can be deceiving. So, wow. And it's a lupus awareness T-shirt.
That's actually a pretty funny shirt, though. You're an idiot. Basically.
It says, "Do I look sick?"
Why are you asking obvious questions?
No. Do you look stupid? Yeah. Next question.
What, if anything, is too serious to be joked about?
Too serious to be joked about?
Yeah.
In my opinion?
Mm-hmm.
Religion.
Yeah? Why?
As I said this when I was in high school to a friend of mine that was a devout Mormon. Mm-hmm. And I was wearing a 4-way cross that Catholics wear. Mm-hmm. And he said, "Do you think by you wearing that cross makes you Catholic?" And he always carried around a Book of Mormon. And I looked at him, and he was a really good friend of mine. I'm like, "Do you think you carrying around that Book of Mormon makes you Mormon?" He said, "No." Mm-hmm. He said, "No." And I'm like, "Okay then, let's not start a holy war." And he was like, "All right." And it was basically, he's not going to sway me, mm-hmm. and I'm not going to try and sway him. I'm going to respect his beliefs. just as I hope and expect he respects my beliefs. So, since there is a plethora of beliefs out there now, I respect what people believe. If, you believe you're gonna get your, 77 virgins or whatever, if you blow up, something here in our country or over there in your country or whatever, alright, that's fine, it's your belief. I'm not gonna tell you how to think otherwise. If I believe that, I'm doing a rosary, all that stuff, or, a novena to a saint, if that's my belief. Don't start a holy war. I'm not going to start a holy war with you, so I hope you don't start a holy war with me. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Alright. If you could travel into time, either the future or the past, what would it be?
Oh gosh. Future or the past? I don't know. I want to say past, like the 40s and stuff, but post World War II, pre-Korean War.
What was that called? A golden era?
The baby boomers. Yeah, the baby boomers. Probably because of its, it was still Hollywood and radio. There was no television. There were no computers. And if there was a computer, it was a really big one, and you couldn't
massive one.
Have it in your house. There was no social media. Everything was, handmade. And I'm the old soul in my family because, I make quilts and I crochet and I make homemade jams and apple butter. Homemade stuff, and the way that my grandmama made from Memphis. And my daddy gave me her canning pot, and he says, because he grew up picking cotton, he says 100 pounds of cotton will get you $3.
100
So post World War II, pre-Korean War.
Pre-Korean.
Yeah.
When was the first time you fell in love, and what happened?
First time I fell in love. Oof. That was my oldest son's father. Well, got pregnant.
Yeah.
He was a alcoholic, still is. He had 16 DUIs in the state of Florida. Oof. So his license was permanently revoked. He now lives in Texas. And the area he moved to, my Uncle Mark, who used to be in the Marines, with my daddy's brother, was a state trooper and lived in Garland, which was 30 minutes away from where his dad lived. And so it was the neutral, I guess, drop-off point was my uncle's house. And my daddy told my uncle, he said, "Now, let me give you a rundown on what this guy is like." And my Uncle Mark made me feel very much at ease that Daddy said that Uncle Mark told me to let you know that if he even remotely gets the suspicion that he has been drinking, he will arrest him on the spot. And I sat there on the other end of the line going, "Go, Uncle Mark!" Like, finally, a proud moment in my family where I'm like, I'm glad to say I'm related to you. You know, whereas when my dad would pull rank, it would be like we'd hide under the table because we'd be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe." But yeah, when I was given that assurance of, I was like, all right, that can work. So, I can't remember what the question was.
So, when was the first time you fell in love?
Yeah,
So the first
him. And I dumped him, I think when, shortly before I met my husband.
So why in the first place did you, what attracted you about him?
What attract? He was I was easy bait.
Okay.
Because I was young. He was, let's see, October 69 was his birthday. Mine's December 74. So, statutory rape could have been a good case on him. God, I wish I had a brain back then.
Wow.
But he was the first guy that told me I was pretty. And when you grow up your entire life being told you're not, when you finally get the first affirmation of you are, cling. And that was, I guess, the bait. And then it took, I had our son, and was it May? Yeah. So in May, my cousin was killed by a drunk driver. And when I sat down and I thought about all of the crap I was exposed to, I don't know how many times I'd gotten into a car with him drinking, and, you know, he's driving. One instance, we actually got pulled over by cops, and he didn't have a license, and he was driving my car. And I had just had our son. So, I mean, medically, I really couldn't drive because, I mean, I had a clutch.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like 5 days out from giving birth. And fortunately, I was able to kind of talk the cop into, you know, like, I just let me drive him home. I got it. Ma'am, you just had a baby. I understand. I can drive. It doesn't hurt. It's fine. I'm not on any, you know. And when it took, unfortunately, it took learning of my cousin being killed by a drunk driver, a habitual drunk driver, for me to finally be like, you know, wake up! And then it got clearer in the haze of being in love. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the guy like you would love, a human being.
Yeah.
If I was able to, I would give him my kidney.
Mm-hmm.
A human being would do that. Am I in love with him? Not just hell no, but hell the fuck no. But true love, spark, not bait, love, my husband. May 11, 1993.
Oh.
Yeah. And we're going to be married 22 years come July.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. Well, hopefully I get lucky.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll get lucky to find something like that.
Yeah. My sister calls him a gold mine. I'm like, yeah, I got a diamond though.
You got a diamond. What's the most embarrassing moment in your life?
Most embarrassing moment?
Mm-hmm.
God, I don't know. There's been so many.
Name a fun one.
A fun one?
Yeah.
Oh God, that's hard. Because I'm like 42, and when you live 42 years, it's a lot of embarrassing moments. How about I tell you about me actually almost getting security called on me for about to beat the shit out of some guy who was 6'5". I can answer that.
Okay, yeah.
I can't answer embarrassing because I can't. There's so many. Yeah, there was some guy, and I was engaged to my husband at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and my friend was meeting up with her friend at the barracks at NAS Jackson. It was after hours, and apparently, her boyfriend and the driver was like, "Yeah, there's gonna be another girl coming. There's gonna be another girl." Well, dude didn't know it was gonna be me, and he didn't know that I was engaged. And I mean, I'm not a supermodel, but at the same time, I'm not, ugly either.
Yeah.
And this guy, he was acting like a total ass. And I was an EMT, so, they all went inside the barracks bathroom. Apparently, I guess there were 2 rooms, like, shared a bathroom. And so they were all pissing together and not knowing that us girls could hear everything they were saying. And I knew they were referring to me. I knew it. And I'm part German, part Irish, part Cherokee, so I have one hell of a temper. And my friend was just like, please just stay. Please just stay. I'm like, all right, but the first time I'm leaving. And she's like, okay. 10 minutes after it had been 10 minutes about. First time pops up. I'm like, that's it. I'm out. Boom. And I was out the door. And I had to hike all the way to my car, wherever I was parked. And the whole time, her boyfriend was chasing after me in his car. And he's yelling out the window. He's like, Rebecca, will you stop? Will you stop? Will you stop? Just stop. And I'm like, no. And I'm screaming. It's like after midnight on base. And I'm screaming. He finally talked me into back. I said, the next time he says something out of turn or whatever, I'm going to punch him. And he's like, I know you will. Just please. And he's from Texas. He gets it. And wouldn't you know it, I hadn't been in there but like 5 minutes. And I got up, and them barracks doors are heavy. And I opened that door, and I pulled it so hard. It slammed so hard, it shook the building. And all of a sudden, his friends come out, and the guy, along with my girlfriend. And he gets in my face, and he's 6'5". And so I'm looking up at him, like, with my chin up, and I'm like, you think that I'm afraid of you? I'm like, and I was raised by a sailor who became an officer, married to a sailor. I know how to cuss.
Yeah.
And I used it as a pronoun, noun, adjective, verb, adverb, prepositional phrase. You name it. And I was just like, the last line I said to him was, dude, I can squat over 275. Don't think I can't slam your ass. I said, so try me. That's when my girlfriend's boyfriend grabbed me one arm, another two grabbed me by the other arm. They were pulling me off because I was about to lunge at him. And they pulled me off, and they basically, I'm trying to get at the guy.
Yeah.
And they were worried about security because it was an all-male barracks. And so they stuffed me in the car, and they're trying to keep me. And I'm like, no. And I'm trying to get out because I'm wanting to beat his ass. And I'm like, look here, you motherfucker. My dad's a freaking gunner. He's gonna take your career and fly. I'm like, come on, bring it on. I was just like, and they're like, will you shut up. And yeah, I almost had security called on me. But yeah, 6'5". I think he was probably about 275. And yeah. And then he was like, yeah, try and fuck up my career, baby. I'm out in 2 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, but it's going to be the most miserable 2 weeks you'll ever have. Messing with an officer's daughter. How about that? And yeah. How about so? So I don't know if you would call that embarrassing.
That was a fun story, though.
Yeah, it's a fun story.
Okay, now, what's the most terrifying moment in your life?
Terrifying moment of my life? Actually, it's a toss-up. Telling my parents I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually turned out good in the long run. But having 15 minutes to grapple, is that the word? Grapple?
What was it mean?
Grasp with the knowledge that when you wake up from the surgery, you former dancer, soccer player, performer, blah, 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 you will have no leg. Because with that fourth surgery for that fem pop on the artery in my knee, that was my surgeon with the beautiful blue eyes. He looked at me and said, I'm going to try and save your leg. And I had 15 minutes of And I had, at the time, let's see, that was 2000, so Nick was 3.5. 3. He had just turned 3. Nick was 3, so CJ was 8. And my husband was deployed. And it would have been above the knee amputation.
Oh.
So it would have been I would have to relearn how to walk. Screw trying to relearn how to dance, but I would have to relearn how to walk because, again, education into my disease. If it was below the knee, those are easier because you have the joint, so you are easier to walk afterwards. Above the knee, you're missing the knee, so you have to relearn how to walk because now you're walking with your hip as your main joint. Your knee joint is also prosthetic. So, and since I used to be a dancer and soccer player, and I had 2 small children, and my husband was deployed. And then, of course, being conscious when I was wheeled into the OR and seeing all the power tools ready to chop my leg off. Yeah. That was terrifying.
Oh my God. Well, it's lucky it didn't happen, but man, what?
Welcome to my world.
So lucky that it happened, though. Alright. Have you ever had a spiritual or profound experience?
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
When they went to do the first surgery on my leg, like I said, I was devout Catholic. My husband was deployed, and it was, January 2000. And so, Red Cross my husband to let him know, okay, my surgery is on this date at this time.
Yeah.
That way he'd be able to call me this one specific number, to talk to me before I went into surgery, because I was scared to death. And this was before I was about to lose my leg. This was the first surgery. And I had told the staff, I was like, I need to see a priest, the day before, because I know you can't eat for 12 hours, blah, 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 all that stuff. I need to see a priest before I go and all that, and talk to my husband. He's supposed to call. It said, oh yeah, and they all had it written down and everything, blah, blah, blah. So the day of they gave me a sleeping pill to kind of help me sleep, because they knew I was nervous. Well, I remember being woken up, my lights went on, and my curtain went, because I had those metal things. And, Mrs. Swan, you need to wake up. We're sending you to surgery now. I'm like, wait, huh? What? Yes, they're doing your surgery now. I'm like, no, we can't do the surgery now. No, my husband, I have to see a priest, and my husband has to call. We can't do the surgery. No, we cannot. Yes, we're doing it now. No, I can't do it. And the whole way down to the pre-op. So I was like freaked that I couldn't see a priest. Freaked that I hadn't talked to my husband. So I already saw my baby. So I wanted to talk to my husband. And I was in pre-op, and lady there, I can't think of her name, but she had gorgeous green eyes. And I was like, I need to see a priest. And I kept hitting the call bell button, whoever. I'm like, I just want to see a priest. I can understand I can't talk to my husband. He's in the middle of the Gulf, but I just want to see a priest. And this nurse comes in, and she gave me this rosary from Medjugorje. And she goes, I'm going to give you this. It was blessed in Medjugorje. And we're going to try and get you a priest, but I can't make any guarantees, but this is mine. I want you to have it. I'm like, well, this is okay. Got it. So I started saying the rosary, and I think I was like the second or third 10 Hail Marys. So basically, it's called decade, second or third decade into it, and I hear knock knock. This is you needed to see a priest, and I'm like, yeah. Hi, can I come in? I'm like, okay. And walk in. It was a priest, and I'm like, okay. And so I got to see a priest and couldn't take communion because I was NPO, but he gave me spiritual one and anointed me and everything. And then he left, and I continued on with, the rosary. I was just trying to calm myself down and everything. And I was almost done, and all of a sudden the curtain rips open. Mrs. Swan, your husband's on the phone! And I'm like, what? And I get on, they bring a phone to me, and he was like, babe, is that you? Yes. Babe, what's going on? And I'm like, they're taking me in now. And he's like, what do you mean they're taking you in now? And I'm like, they're doing the surgery now. They bumped me up. And he goes, well, I'm glad I'm calling you now. And I'm like, well, why did you call now? He goes, well, my chief just came to me and said that I'm going to have to call you now because I'm not going to have the opportunity to call you later when I'm right before your surgery. And I looked down at my rosary that she handed me, and then I looked up, and I'm like, you're really good. You're really, really good. Because, it was just like halfway through the rosary, I got the priest.
Yeah.
Almost done with the rosary, I got my husband on the phone. From the Gulf, on a satellite phone. So, yeah. And it was just like...
The moments before the surgery.
Minutes. Like, they were about to push the I'm a white horse, I'm a butterfly, oh, look at all the pretty colors, that kind of, I don't care, yeah. Right before I call it the vanilla milkshake.
Vanilla, the anesthesia.
Yeah, the propofol, what killed Michael Jackson.
Ugh.
The stuff that it's like the Valium and all the little, like, you just kind of just feel drunk and happy, and you don't feel like you're going to throw it all up.
It's not bad.
So, but yeah. I've had a few near misses, but that's like the biggest one that sticks out in my head of...
Really profound.
Yeah. Especially like in the middle of, like, just... Yeah.
Right.
I see your wheels spinning.
Yeah, because I'm skipping questions because there's a lot of stuff that we talked about earlier.
Oh, okay.
Something like we could just skip some of these questions. Right. Is there something you dreamed of doing for a long time, and why haven't you done it yet?
Something I've dreamed of doing for a long time. Going on Broadway. Being a performer on Broadway.
Have you ever been to Broadway?
No, I've never been to New York. I've always, and I have like the perfect birthday to go to New York. Because I'm December 29th.
Oh.
So, like all the Christmas
See the
lights and
Rockettes?
yes, the Rockettes, and it's like, I don't know if I have the voice, I definitely don't have I don't have the body of a dancer like I used to. I don't have I might not have a voice or the part, but just like walk into like Radio City Music Hall and just look around, or go to the Ryman Auditorium. And I've been to the Ryman, but I've never been to New York. But just to be on Broadway. And I don't know, not do Phantom of the Opera or anything like that, but maybe like
Les Miserables.
No, I think more Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's, I don't know, it's actually funnier.
It's actually funnier.
Its premise is a lot funnier than, Phantom of the Opera. No, that you need some serious pipes for Phantom of the Opera or Les Mis. But like, and God, not Oklahoma. Oh no, no. But something like Chicago or oh gosh, there's a new one out now. Rent.
Rent, yeah.
I would love to do Rent. Rent would be cool. Or shoot, American Idiot.
Oh, yeah, the Green Day one.
Yeah, love to do American Idiot. But yeah, go to Broadway. And the only thing that's stopping me is lupus.
So does that keep you from traveling now? Or?
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
I have to have oxygen tanks.
Oh, okay.
So it's like they have to like know ahead of time, and it's a lot of pomp and circumstance to go with it. So international, I wouldn't be able to fly O2 tanks. Pretty positive I can't fly O2 tanks overseas. But if it's a domestic flight, I like to drive everywhere. And in all honesty, I have more control over it, and I'm not phobic of it.
Mm-hmm.
I need a lot of liquor and a lot of Valium to get me
Stay
on
on
a
the point.
jetway of an airplane. And that was before terrorists. Yeah. But I like to drive everywhere.
Yeah.
You get to see more of the country that way.
Yeah, I took 2 road trips across the United States, and I'll make a 3rd one soon. Going to what do you call it? Not Woodstock. I'm going to Burning Man. So
You're going to Burning Man? You
Yeah.
gotta tell me how that is, because I heard it's like, for some people it's like life changing. Some people it's like,
what the fuck?
yeah, it's like
Well-
it's like goes from one end of the spectrum to another. It's like you either like it or you hate it. You either find it fucked up or life changing. So
Yeah, I'm doing it because my 30th birthday is it's gonna be around that time. And
you're a baby. Oh my god, I've been sitting here talking to a baby.
yeah, I'm still young, but I had interesting past couple of years, and some of it was rough. I deal with a lot of some tragedy, and now it's like, alright, I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep continuing go on my adventures, and this is the next adventure.
Yeah, when I in a 6-week time period back in 2004,
Mm-hmm.
almost died 3 times.
Oof.
And so I was like, I need to go and make my peace with God. And took my brand new car, left, my husband was on shore duty, so my husband was home.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, like, all over the country, Grand Canyon, saw everything that I'd never seen before. And for 10 straight days, I was by myself, from the Grand Canyon all the way up to the Rocky Mountains to Mount Rushmore and everything, and Yellowstone. I was by myself. And it was great. And I was able to make my peace. And I put 10,000 miles on my car.
Well worth it.
Very well worth it. And I gave my boys every day. I would call them and I would give them a geography. I'm like, okay, I'm in this state now. Find such and such city. Like Estes Park.
Yeah. Or find there's landmark.
Yeah, and I'm in Estes Park, Colorado, and go to them, and they look on a map and stuff like that. And that was back when it was, I had we had MapQuest.
Stick it on a windshield.
Well, I had a binder, man.
Oh, the actual printouts.
Yeah, I had a binder. I had all this. I had everything mapped out, where I was going to stop, where all the hotels, everything. And it was just me and my car, and once I left Grand Canyon, there was like a spot where it was like no radio receptors. Like, get out the CDs.
Yeah, I remember that spot.
Yeah, now on the Navajo reservation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's kind of creepy.
I drove it during the day.
Let's see. If money or anyone's opinion didn't matter to you or affected you, what would be your wildest dream to do? I think that's kind of like similar to the first question.
What would it be? Wildest dream?
Yeah.
Well, instead of going to Broadway,
Mm-hmm.
go to the Royal Theatre in London. Take the Queen Mary, cruise over to London, check out the Royal Theatre and all this stuff in England, go to Scotland, and then go to Ireland, go across the Channel, hit Spain, France, Germany, get into the Slavic countries, and then somehow get over to the Middle East. If they finally start letting us into Israel yet.
No, we're good for Israel, but not.
No, I'm just saying, go to Israel. Oh, make sure I hit Italy.
Italy.
Yeah, go see the Pope. But see all that architecture, all that beauty that I've never seen before, that my husband has, which is quite makes me jealous sometimes. So, but yeah, just travel the world with my boys.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be great.
What is your most treasured memory?
Most treasured memory?
Mm-hmm.
It's 2.
Okay.
Actually 3.
All right. What are they?
Day I got married,
Mm-hmm.
the day I had my oldest son, and the day I had my youngest son.
Aw.
Those are my... After that, it's being made a godparent.
To who?
My godchildren are Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Marine in Japan.
Mm.
EOD.
Oof.
Makes me a little nervous.
That's a heavy drop.
And his brother, Ethan. And Ethan is in high school. So, yeah. So, yeah. My husband, my babies, and then being made a godparent. Because being asked to be a godparent is an extreme honor and privilege. And you kind of look out for them, you know, not just spiritually, but just, you know, you just make sure they're okay. And so I'm their Miss Becca, and, you know, and poor Matthew, he actually texted me to check on me when Hurricane Matthew went through. And yes, we did sustain $33,000 of damage to our house. Thank you. And I told Matthew, I was like, "Dadgum, Matthew, I told you could, you know, if you ever pass through, you had a spot to, you know, lay your head. But you didn't have to put a damn tree in my house." And he's like, "A tree fell on your house?" And I'm like, "Yes, my neighbor's tree fell on my house." And he's like, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "It's not your fault, Matthew." So, yeah.
It's your fault because your name is Matthew.
Yeah. But yeah.
All right. Now we're going to the last question of the night. And we're going to end it with these. There are 2 questions in one, basically.
Okay.
What would you say is the worst thing you ever did, and what would you say is the best thing you ever did in your life?
The worst thing I ever did?
Mm-hmm.
Worst thing I ever did was meet
Slip. Meatbags.
Meet CJ's dad.
Mm-hmm.
Best thing I ever did was meet his dad. Because had I not met his dad...
It's bittersweet.
Yeah. Today I became a mama.
Something great came out of something bad.
Exactly. And that in itself is a whole other podcast. Because he almost wasn't here.
Wow. But he's here. That's all that counts.
Yeah.
He made it.
I call it God came to me in an angel one day. In the form of a very good friend of mine.
What was the story with that?
I had made an appointment to take care of the pregnancy, and after I hung up the phone, I kind of felt uncomfortable. Uncomfortable or whatever. And I just kind of slipped out of the house. I mean, it was during the day, so my mom wouldn't have cared. And got in my car and went to the gas station, called my friend, and I was like, "Are you going to be home?" And she's like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, good, because I need to talk to you." And she's like, "All right." So get to my friend's house, and they're very devout Catholics, and mind you, while I was growing up, we weren't, but my friend kind of started inviting me back to church, and I was like, yeah, it was where my family went before they stopped practicing. And so, anyway, get to her house, and she gets to the door, and I'm like, "I need to talk to you in your room." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And I went to shut the door, so I had my back to her, and I turned around, and I was like, "I need to tell you something." And she looked me dead in the eye, and she goes, "You're pregnant, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And first thing, and I was like, I was afraid that she was not gonna want to be my friend anymore. You know, because I'm this, you know, tainted, you know, non-virginal harlot, you know, person, and the first thing out of her mouth was, "Please don't have an abortion." And instantaneously, I said, "I'm not." And since I told her that, I couldn't go through with it. And so she said, "Come on, let's go talk to my mom." I'm like, "Oh God, no!" And I'm like thinking, her parents are never gonna let me see her, blah, because I'm this crazy wild chick, blah blah blah. And she's like, "I'm telling you, it'll be okay. Let's go talk to my mom." I'm like, I can't do it. And so she went over to her mom, and she whispered in her ear, and her mom came up to me, and she just looked me in the eye, and then she put her arms around me, and she said, "Everything is going to be okay." Maybe hard.
Yeah.
And I think there's still cracks in the walls of my dad finding out of how loud he yelled when he finally found out. But yeah. So I call it God came to me in an angel one day. So the worst thing I ever did was meet him, and the best thing I ever did was meet him. And the best part is CJ looks just like me.
All right.
So.
On that, I want to thank you for your time. We've been like 3 hours and 13 minutes.
Gosh, I'm sorry. I'm such a motor mouth.
Oh, no. This is good. This is like a great first time doing this. I got what I want out of it. Like, thank you for opening up. Hopefully when people listen to this, because the whole purpose behind this is just kind of like project behind empathy. And this kind of so people that every person's in the universe. And you just need to sit down and listen to them.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that they don't understand me, and or looks can be deceiving, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's like, be guarded, educate yourself, don't judge, be honest.
Yeah. One thing one of my old fraternity brothers told me last time I saw him back in college, he told me, "Frank, be kind to everyone,
Mm-hmm.
help people out when they're in trouble, do right by people, but trust no one."
Be humble and kind.
Yeah, but don't trust any of them.
Don't trust. Like I said, I'm more afraid of the IRS than I am of a cop.
All right, on that note, we're going to end that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for the first episode. All right, and that's it.
Alright guys, thank you for listening to the first episode and to my weird New York/Floridian accent. I know some people had a hard time listening to it, but that's how I talk. Thanks again for listening. If you're interested in any content such as fun essays, articles, books, and yes, even poems, because I am that sappy, you can go to ataboolife.com, where you get all that stuff for free. And if you like to contact me, you can contact me at ataboolife.com. I mean, ataboolife@gmail.com. Sorry, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm having a couple of brain farts. Alright, have a good day.